The desert sun hung low as Sheriff Mara Quinn rode toward the abandoned ridge. She wasn't expecting company, but she found it in the most unlikely man. Calder Knox, an outlaw with a price on his head and a past filled with half-spoken sins. He raised his hands. "Easy, Sheriff. If I wanted trouble, you'd already know." Mara kept her gun steady. "You framed towns, robbed stagecoaches, and ran from every badge between here and Yuma. Why are you on my trail?" Calder nodded toward the horizon. "Because Silas Vane is on yours." Silas Vane, Mara's worst enemy. The man who murdered her brother and vanished into the desert like a ghost in boots. Calder's voice hardened. "He framed me for killing 2 deputies. I've been running ever since. We want the same thing, Sheriff. Vane behind bars. Or 6 feet down." Mara studied him. An outlaw asking for a partnership was madness. But she needed Vane more than she needed her pride. "What's your angle?" she asked. "I need redemption," he said quietly. "And you need someone who knows how Vane thinks." A long silence stretched between them. Then Mara holstered her gun. "Fine, but if you cross me," Calder smirked, "you'll shoot me before I blink, got it?" They rode into Devil's Spine Canyon before nightfall. The place felt cursed, narrow walls, whispering winds, the stink of old smoke. Up ahead, the glow of a small outlaw camp flickered like a dying star. Mara crouched. 3 men, drunk, armed. Calder cracked his knuckles. "Let me go in first." "No," she said sharply. "We question them." "No killing unless it's necessary." She stepped forward, calling out, "Evening, boys." The outlaws jumped to their feet. One reached for his gun. Mara shot it clean out of his hand. Calder appeared behind her, revolver raised. "We want Vane," he growled. The drunkest outlaw spit in the dirt. "He ain't here." "But you know where he is," Mara replied. Fear washed across their faces. One whispered, "Ghost Hollow Pass." "He's headed to Redwater. Said he's got a message for the sheriff." Mara froze. Redwater was her home. Before she could react, the canyon floor exploded. A blast of dynamite shook the ground. Riders appeared on the ridge, silhouettes with rifles aimed downward. "It's an ambush," Calder yelled. Bullets rained like hailstones. Mara and Calder dove behind rocks, returning fire. The canyon filled with smoke and chaos. One rider toppled off his horse. Another reloaded, shouting orders. Calder grabbed Mara's arm. "We're outnumbered, move!" They sprinted toward a narrow crack in the canyon wall, climbing through dust and shrapnel until they burst onto the ridge above. Breathing hard, they looked back at the burning canyon. Mara wiped blood from her eyebrow. "He's leading us somewhere." Calder nodded grimly. "To Redwater. The place where it all began, and where everything would end." Redwater should have been alive with saloon music, horses and drunken arguments, but instead, it lay silent under the fading moon, too silent. Calder dismounted. "Town's empty. That's bad." Mara's jaw tightened. "He's here." As they walked the dusty main street, a slow clap echoed from the shadows of the sheriff's office. "Well now." Silas Vane stepped into the light wearing a grin that belonged on a rattlesnake. "The sheriff and her pet outlaw." Calder growled. "You framed me? Why?" Vane shrugged. "Every story needs a villain." "You were convenient." Mara took a step forward. "And my brother?" "He trusted you." Vane smirked. "He died begging." Calder reached for his gun. Mara stopped him with a shake of her head. Vane whistled sharply. 4 riflemen emerged from the shadows, guns drawn. "Drop your irons," Vane ordered. Mara and Calder exchanged a look, then slowly lowered their weapons. "That's better," Vane chuckled. "Now let's make this fun." Before he could finish, Mara punched him so hard he crashed into a post. Calder tackled one rifleman, disarming him. Shots thundered down the street. Mara rolled behind a trough and fired, hitting another outlaw cleanly. Calder knocked a rifle from the hands of the third. The fourth fled into the shadows. Within moments, the street fell silent. Vane scrambled toward the sheriff's office. "Come on!" Mara shouted, sprinting after him. Inside, the dim office smelled of dust and memories. Papers littered the floor, the last remains of her brother's life. "Mara," Calder warned. Too late. Vane lunged from behind the door, slamming her into a wall. Her gun skidded away. The two struggled violently. Vane slammed her head into the floor. She kicked him back, gasping for breath. Calder aimed. "No shot!" he shouted. Mara grabbed the edge of a desk and pulled herself up. Vane charged. She dodged. Calder struck him across the ribs with his revolver. Vane crashed to the floor, wheezing. "Do it," he hissed. "Kill me." Mara reached for her gun. Her brother's voice echoed in her mind. "Don't let hate drive you, Mara." She stepped back. "No," she said softly. "You'll hang by the law, not by my rage." Vane stared in disbelief as she cuffed him. Calder exhaled. "You did the right thing." Mara looked at him. "Maybe, but we did it together." Sunlight filtered through the cracked windows. Redwater was waking again, and Vane was finally in chains. When Mara led Vane out of the sheriff's office, townsfolk gathered, shocked, whispering, relieved. Calder walked beside her, bruised but standing tall. "Never thought I'd see this day," an old rancher muttered. Mara tightened the cuffs on Vane. "Justice always comes. Sometimes it just rides slow." They locked Vane in the holding cell. He spat through the bars. "You think this ends with me?" Mara stepped close. "It ends with you hanging, and my brother finally at peace." Vane snarled, but the fight was gone from his eyes. Outside, morning painted the town gold. Calder leaned on a post. "So, what happens to me now?" Mara folded her arms. "I clear your name. Every charge Vane pinned on you." Calder nodded slowly. "I appreciate it. You earned it." A silence settled between them, warm, understanding. "I'm rebuilding this town," Mara said. "Cleaning out corruption. Restoring what Vane destroyed." Calder tilted his hat. "You'll do it. You're the toughest sheriff I've ever met." She smirked. "I need a partner." He raised a brow. "And me?" "You need redemption." Calder chuckled. "Maybe I do." He mounted his horse. "If you ever need help again, send a rider." "I will," she said. Calder looked at her one last time, at the woman who had changed the direction of his life. "See you around, Sheriff." "Count on it, Knox." He rode toward the rising sun, the dust glowing beneath his horse's hooves. No longer a hunted outlaw, no longer running from shadows. He rode lighter, freer, redeemed. Mara watched until he became a silhouette on the horizon. Then she turned toward Redwater, a town ready to heal. And for the first time in years, she felt hope.